Ciao, iniziamo tra 5 minuti. Hi, we are starting in 5 minutes. Se hai domande, chiedile nei commenti. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments. Ti piace la vista? Io la vedo tutti i giorni. Are you enjoying the view? I see it every day. Iniziamo tra 2 minuti. We are starting in 2 minutes. Se hai domande, falle nei commenti. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments at any time. Iniziamo tra 1 minuto. Fa caldo. carrellina. Sono le 9. It's 9 a.m. here. And here we begin this live stream, How to Learn Italian Fast. My name is Stefano. I'm your Italian language coach. And today I'll answer your questions about how to learn Italian fast or how to learn languages in general. I'll also share a couple of tips with you to learn Italian, especially to learn how to speak. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments at any time. Don't wait until the end. I'll answer them right away. I have one question that was asked by email before yesterday, before this live stream, and it is from Paul. How does one remember all the various verb conjugations? You remember, eventually you remember the conjugations, but at least this is the way that I follow and I also recommend. You don't memorize them. You learn them. And eventually you remember them by using them. That means that you won't look at the conjugation tables or even the grammar rules. Instead, you speak with someone, ideally a trained tutor that can lead the conversation in a way that helps you learn what the topic of the question of the lesson, and you learn by trial and mistake, trial and error. You hear something, you try to say it. Let's say I want to say they ask you what do you have for breakfast. Usually you have in Italian you say what do you eat for breakfast. You could say the verb is mangiare, to eat. If you say mango, that's wrong, but at least you tried. And then your tutor or your could be conversation language exchange partners will say, mangio una banana. And then you understand that the right form is mangio, I eat. And you might make that mistake again the day after, but eventually you learn, it becomes automatic for you to use the right conjugation without thinking, because if you memorize, you will always be looking up the right conjugation inside on a table inside your head. You never become fluent. That could be good enough if your only purpose is translation or writing, if you have the time to think. But when you're speaking to someone, you don't want to spend a minute or two looking up the right conjugation inside your head. The same with vocabulary. You use a word once, twice, 3 times, eventually you remember it. You could say that you memorize, but this verb is misleading, and you remember as a result of learning by practice. No. There's a funny, I recently learned the etymology of the word ricordare, that is the Italian for to remember. It comes from cuore, heart. In a sense, well, it's just my interpretation, but you could argue that you make it yours, not in your brain, but in your heart. by using it, you attach it to some experience you associate with a situation, a conversation you had. And in fact, I do remember. I remember not only the word but also the circumstances, the situation I learned it. For example, where I was, who I was talking to. That way you really make words, grammar patterns yours. And that's what you do with my courses. If you haven't tried them yet, do it. If you have, share your enthusiasm with me in the comments. I like to know if you are already my students or not. Type it in the comments. Tell me if you ever tried my courses, and if yes, how you like them. If not, in passing, here's the link. There's a free trial. I give you 7 days. In 7 days, you'll be thinking directly in Italian without memorizing. Just don't expect to remember everything you hear. That's impossible. No matter what any superstar polyglot will tell you on their channel. This was, I hope that was an answer for Paul's question. Then I had, there was one by Marilyn. Yes, call it. Learn, not memorize. That's it. This is what I think what everyone who knows about how to learn languages does. All the more more or less authentic polyglots you find on the internet, they follow this principle. Even those who sell more structured courses, you say grammar courses, pronunciation courses, full of rules and English text. I don't think they learn that way. I personally, I made a course that I would use myself if I were to learn Italian, because it's all speaking, listening and speaking. Call it, yes, I remember you, beginner student, enjoy. After 2 other tries, I prefer yours. Oh, I moved. I'm curious about the others. You can tell me privately if you don't want to, but if you want, I'm to hear that. Meanwhile, I'll address Marilyn's comment. Voglio dire, presentatevi the person beside you. I'm not sure I understand this. I'll translate what I understand. I want to say, introduce yourself. Beside you. To the person beside you. You want to give an order, a polite order, like introduce yourself? If so, presentatevi, grammatically is correct, but you're using the plural, you, like you all. And long ago, maybe 1 century ago, that was common. People were very polite, but now you never do that. Even in front of before the president, no. If you want to be polite, is see, you could say it's still an order, so it's not particularly polite, but to be formal could be si presenti, or you informal presentati. But they're all orders. I don't know if that's what you meant. Tell me. Parlo mezzo italiano, mezzo inglese. I speak half Italian, half English. That's totally normal. The more you can say in Italian, the better. Ideally, if you were in a conversation on one-to-one tutoring, your tutor will fill up the blanks and show you the full sentence, and you would repeat it. But yeah, try to stick with Italian. The less English, or whatever your native language is, the less you use it, the better. Mike, ciao Stefano. I've been doing your course for 34 days. All improvements are very noticeable. Mi fai felice, Mike. You make me happy, Mike. Grazie. Call it some business intelligence here. Italian Matters and Ollie Richards. I know Ollie Richards. It's very popular. Italian Matters, I never heard about it. I'll Google it. Italian Matters. No, I've never seen this website. Has good reviews. Teacher is Margherita. Looks kind. I'll explore the website. I don't know about this. So that's it. Ollie Richards, I know, but I never tried the courses. I have a lot of readings. I also have readings, by the way. Bilingual readings. Thank you, Colette, for the information. Good. Hai domande? Have any questions? If you do, you better ask them. I do have one tip that I share every time because it's the most important. And judging from the emails I receive from students who just joined, I think it's still useful to remind you that the fastest way to become fluent means that you hear someone and you're able to react with words in a socially acceptable time frame. Don't stop thinking about conjugations for 5 minutes. And the fastest way is to listen and repeat, ideally with someone. But if you don't have the time to schedule one-to-one tutoring or the money, you're too shy. You shouldn't be. But then you can do it by yourself, on your own, with study materials that focus on speaking over text, over reading or translation. For example, my courses. Mike has a question. Is it okay that I do some of the lessons twice, 3 times on some days? Since being better, same lesson. Nothing against that. You can do that. Just don't become obsessed with it. The day after, the morning after, you realize that you remember more than you thought. Sleeping helps. That's why I recommend taking one lesson per day, at least one new lesson per day, and taking a night of sleep between lessons. But you can also review the lesson later. You take it once in the morning, once in the afternoon, in the evening. You can do that. The first time, try not to look at the text. No visual aid. Again, don't freak out if you don't remember everything or even understand everything. If you can keep up with the pace, that's totally normal. If you could, probably that's too easy. You should move on to the next lesson. Yeah, you can do that. Yes, they get tougher. Me personally, I'm a brave student. I don't mind mumbling half of the lesson. But if you dare to do everything you can, keep going until you can keep up with 60% of what you hear, and then go back. Could be 5 lessons, even 10 lessons, and everything will feel easier. Me, I don't mind well, first, I'm alone, so even if I sound stupid, but no one is hearing, that's part of the process. But if you can really understand anything too little, it's not very helpful. But if you understand at least 60%, you can keep going and then go back a few lessons. That's what I do with similar materials. Also, writing down the most important words, patterns can help. Not while listening, after the lesson. And when I say writing down, I mean write with your hands, because we remember better and more what we write by hand than what we type. It's less trendy, less fashionable. Everything is digital now, but we remain analogic. What was I talking about? The fastest way, yes. Should be speaking every day. About being shy, it's never too early to start speaking with someone. Sometimes I receive messages about from students who studied 6 months, 1 year, 2 years on their own, and they never talk to anyone. It makes no sense to me, unless if you were learning Latin or ancient Greek, then yes, they're all dead. But if you learn Italian, it's likely that you're learning it to communicate with someone. So you should be speaking with someone. Ideally with someone, or else with yourself, which I do a lot in my daily life anyway. But when I speak to myself, it's in Italian. A good sign that you are on the right track is that you start dreaming in Italian, or the language you are learning. It means you're absorbing it. Your brain is processing it. I wish I could use that as a proof of the effectiveness of my courses, but I can't guarantee that you dream in Italian in the first 7 days, and especially I can guarantee that you remember your dreams, but that's not because of my courses. Just people rarely remember their dreams. So I call this think in Italian, not dream in Italian. Because you can feel that you're thinking faster directly in Italian. Dreaming, there's no proof. But it does happen. The earliest that happened to me, it was about 1 month since I started learning a certain language. And I had a dream with a very simple, short conversation. And basic. I was still a beginner after 1 month. But the point is not how good you were speaking in your dream, but the very fact that you were dreaming in that language is a good sign. Maybe that happened even earlier, but I don't remember. I rarely remember my dreams. I give a 7-day free trial. That's enough to feel some difference, some results. I'm not giving more because when you're given too much time, you tend to postpone, to procrastinate. and I wanted to use the free trial. That's a paradox. But the more time you give, the less people do. Others maybe give 14 days. Still acceptable, but I mean, if you're motivated enough, you because you're supposed to do it every day. When I study a language, I do it every day, or else you can't really expect results. Or at least you can't blame the materials. No. And in any case, you're still covered by a 30-day guarantee, even after you renew your plan on thinking Italian. But there's plenty of time to make sure that it works for you. Good. Any other questions? Domande? I'm leaving in 5 minutes or so because I have to go to the immigration to extend my visa. I'm not in Italy. I don't need a visa for Italy. How long is it normal to stay in the A0? Leggi come lessons. Day 34 audio is too difficult. Yeah. The same with the as for the audio course. It's perfectly normal to not to be able to follow or understand everything. Take it as a opportunity to be exposed to the language. Um, the levels, I think that every level feels more difficult, but you could say the same about the audio course too, because these are audio courses that cover listening and speaking skills, and these skills tend to be the weakest among your other skills, overall skills. You might understand some Italian, know some grammar, but on the other side, you find it more difficult to catch words in audio or to produce speech, to speak. And that's why you might feel discouraged that how come I'm still at this level, but that's the level of your weakest skill. Is this normal? Yes. Take it as just a way of sorting, so that it's relative. Generally speaking, A0 is easier than A1, but um, you might come from different backgrounds. Let's say you know some words, but other people don't, or you know some grammar, but other people don't. Can be harder or easier for each one. But yes, it's normal. It could be a couple of months. Maybe I've been too demanding with the levels. I could have scaled down the difficulty of all the levels, because people take the overall skills as the baseline, but then you face the reality of speaking, listening and speaking, and that's likely weaker than your overall skills. But don't worry, it's normal. Good. If you have any other questions, that's the time to ask them, because I need to leave to extend my visa. It's a 1-hour trip because I live far from the city. But I need to do it because I can't leave my cats that I rescued from the fields. So I can't leave. Can speak Italian with your cats. Right now I'm learning Tagalog, language of the Philippines. I do my audio course with my cats. Listen and repeat while patting my cats. They don't understand, but they never understand anyway. Since it's an audio course, you can take it while doing other things. Like now I'm going to the immigration. I scheduled a trip on Gojek. It's like Uber here, a local Uber. And I'll take a lesson, an audio lesson on the car. Good. If there are no other questions, no, I'm not in the Philippines. I'm in Bali, Indonesia, but I already speak Indonesian, so I fed up and I start another language. No, I'm in Bali, Indonesia. I've been to the Philippines. No. No, there's no logic. But most of the languages I learned them while I was not in the countries they speak them. Some I even never visited those countries. Yeah, I learned Indonesian while I was here, but I had enough. I don't need to speak better. No. Good. Then see you next month. And I'll still be in Bali with my cats. If you haven't tried yet, start a free trial today. If you're already a student, keep going. Ci vediamo tra un mese. See you in 1 month. Ciao. Ciao ciao.